Imagine a city, bustling and grand, a gateway to ancient Egypt, spoken of in myths, and then poof, gone. It vanished from maps and memories, swallowed by the sea, becoming a legend whispered for over 1,000 years. This isn't the story of Atlantis, but a real-life tale just as mysterious. This is the story of Heracleion. For centuries, scholars believed Heracleion and its Egyptian counterpart, Thonis, were two separate cities. Ancient texts, like those from the historian Herodotus, spoke of their glory. He wrote of a great temple where the hero Heracles himself first set foot in Egypt, giving the city its Greek name, Heracleion. The Egyptians called it Thonis, but with no physical proof, the city faded into the realm of myth. Was it real? Just a story passed down through generations, a cautionary tale of a city lost to the waves. The mystery remained unsolved for centuries. It was a puzzle with missing pieces, a ghost on the historical record, until the turn of our modern century. In the year 2000, a team led by French underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudio was surveying the Abu Qir Bay near Alexandria. They weren't looking for a lost city. They were searching for Napoleon's warships, sunk during the Battle of the Nile in 1798, but what they found was infinitely more profound. Their high-tech equipment, scanning the seabed, picked up anomalies, strange shapes buried under layers of sand and silt. Something big was down there. Divers descended into the murky waters, their lights cutting through the blue-green haze. What they saw left them breathless. It wasn't a warship. It was the face of a god, carved from stone, staring back at them from the seabed. A colossal statue, perfectly preserved. As they explored further, the incredible truth began to dawn on them. They hadn't just found a few artifacts. They'd found the lost city itself. The city of Heracleion or Thonis was real. It had been lying just a few kilometers off the coast, submerged under about 30 feet of water, waiting to be discovered. The scale of the discovery was staggering. This wasn't just a small settlement. It was a massive, sprawling metropolis, the main port of entry to Egypt for centuries. Archaeologists realized that Thonis and Heracleion were not two cities, but one and the same. The Egyptians called it Thonis, and the Greeks who traded there called it Heracleion. The mystery of the two names was solved. The city had a dual identity, reflecting its importance as an international hub of commerce and culture. Imagine the excitement. It was like finding a real-life Atlantis, a perfectly preserved snapshot of a world that had vanished around the 8th century AD. So what happened to this magnificent city? Why did it sink beneath the waves? Scientific research has given us some fascinating answers. The city was built on the Nile Delta, on unstable clay and sand sediments. It was a geological house of cards from the very beginning. A combination of factors likely led to its demise. A number of earthquakes documented in the region would have shaken the unstable ground. This process is called soil liquefaction. Imagine shaking a container of wet sand. It starts to behave like a liquid. That's what happened to the ground beneath Heracleion. Slowly, over time, and possibly accelerated by major floods and rising sea levels, the ground gave way. The magnificent city with its temples and houses began its slow descent into the sea. It wasn't a single cataclysmic event, like in the movies. It was a gradual sinking, a slow surrender to the power of nature over a couple of hundred years. The residents likely abandoned the city over time as the water levels rose, taking what they could and leaving the rest to their fate. The treasures they left behind are what make this discovery so incredible. The cold, low-oxygen environment of the seabed preserved everything in stunning detail. Divers have uncovered over 700 ancient anchors, piled up in what seems to be a ship graveyard. A huge number of anchors points to the sheer volume of trade that passed through the port. They found gold coins, weights from Athens, and statues that blended Egyptian and Greek artistic styles, proof of a multicultural society. One of the most breathtaking finds was the main temple of Amun-Gareb, the supreme god of the Egyptians. The central part of the city. Inside the temple ruins, archaeologists discovered colossal statues of a pharaoh, a queen, and the god Hapi, the personification of the Nile's floods. These statues stand over 16 feet tall. Lifting these massive stone giants from the seabed was an epic feat of engineering, a delicate operation to bring them back to the surface after more than a millennium. They also found dozens of smaller sarcophagi. These weren't for humans, but for animals, mummified as offerings to the gods. A common practice in ancient Egypt. Perhaps one of the most surprising facts is the discovery of 64 ancient shipwrecks. It is the largest number of ancient ships ever found in one place. These aren't just any ships. One particular vessel, known as Ship 17, is a marvel of ancient naval architecture. It's a baris, a type of cargo ship described in great detail by Herodotus. For years, scholars thought Herodotus might have been exaggerating or mistaken in his description, because no archaeological evidence for such a ship had ever been found. But Ship 17, found in the sunken harbor of Heracleion, matched his description almost perfectly. It was a historical vindication, proving the accuracy of these ancient texts. Another incredible find was a perfectly preserved stele, a giant stone slab covered in hieroglyphic inscriptions, almost identical to one found on land in 1899. This stele was a royal decree from Pharaoh Nectanebo, i.e., from 380 BC. It outlined the taxes that were to be collected at the port of Heracleion, giving 10% of all duties on goods to the Temple of Amun-Gareb. Finding this decree in the very city it was issued for was the final, undeniable proof. It was the city's birth certificate and tax record, all in one. The work in Heracleion is far from over. Frank Gaudio's team estimates that they have only excavated about 5% of the entire city. Think about that. 95% of this ancient metropolis is still buried under the sand, holding its secrets. What other wonders are waiting to be found? What other statues of gods and pharaohs lie sleeping on the seafloor? What other texts could rewrite our understanding of this period in history? The sunken city of Heracleion is more than just an archaeological site. It's a time capsule, a direct link to a lost world. It shows us how vulnerable even the greatest cities can be to the forces of nature, and how history can be lost and then miraculously found again. The story of Heracleion is a powerful reminder that there are still so many mysteries hidden in our world, waiting for the right moment and the right people to bring them to light. Thank you for joining us on this journey to Egypt's lost Atlantis. For more incredible stories from the past, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Historical Repo.